One Quick Question with Infomedia, your source for answers to your questions about websites, digital marketing, and more. I'm your host, Carrie Rollwagon, and today we are here with Clay Connor. So, Clay, can you tell us what do you do here at Infomedia and what were you doing right before the podcast?
Wow. So right before the podcast, I was working on trying to help close a deal. And so that's kind of leads into what I do. I help kind of develop the new business for our company. And so it's always trying to find the right customer that fits well with our team and, that we know we can help well. And so, yeah.
Well, and you do it very well, which is why we wanted you to come on and talk about what are some ways that people can refresh their websites for the new year. So that's our topic. We have the new year, new you, new website.
Yep.
That's the little known end of that phrase. But so a lot of people do start looking at your site again at the beginning of the year and thinking like, okay, well, this is either stale or boring or it's not meeting our needs. And a lot of people want to refresh right out of the gate. So what are some ways that we can do that? If it's not, like building a website is a great way to get a total fresh start, but say you don't exactly have the budget for that yet. What are some other things you can do?
Yeah, to me, when I think about that question, my mind immediately goes to your website's content. And so, especially if you don't have the budget to go ahead and just do a full-on refresh or redo, I would really start with thinking about your content. A lot of times, companies, maybe they put the effort in actually creating a good-looking website, but they didn't really consider the cost when it comes to the content side of things. And so, oftentimes you can really work with what you have, but really focus more on developing quality content that's going to communicate much more in a much better way who it is you are, who you serve, why you exist. And so when we think about content, we think about the words on the page, your overall strategic message, your photos, your video. Those are the things that come to mind to me, the things that you could really they could be a really big impact on your overall website.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the cool thing about that, I think, is if you get your content right, so like maybe you address all the messaging and words on your site and the video, get some videos and photos. And then if you want to come and do a new site, you're already like ahead of the game.
No, that's right. Yeah. Matter of fact, we don't work with a lot of startups here at Infomedia. Nothing against startups. We are big fans of startups, but a lot of times startups are one of the biggest things they have a need of that they don't even realize is their content. And so they think they need a website, which is true. They really do, but they don't really have the ingredients ready for that. And so we have actually started crafting a startup package that doesn't even include a website. It really just more focuses on helping you get your content ready so that when you are ready to create that website, you've got something you can work with.
Yeah, and I love that strategy. So say somebody is like, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. I want to refresh my content. What are the next steps? What do they do? And is that different if we're talking about photo, video, and words?
Yeah, I think for one, you really need to figure out, do you have any kind of budget you can allot towards that? And so it could be that you're like, hey, you know what, we don't want to spend any dollars on this. And so you really need to find someone in your organization that can really champion and own that. But if you have a little bit of resources to work with, hiring a professional that can help you think about how to do it the right way, somebody that like lives in the space, to me is going to be really valuable because writing for the web is very different than writing for other mediums. And so you have to think about like the frame of mind people are in when they're going to a website, what they want to get out of it. And so creating quality content that fits the medium, doesn't happen by chance. And so it's really helpful to have someone who can help you think through that in a way that really is going to have a big impact for your business.
I agree. And as like regular listeners know, and obviously, I was a copywriter for a long time. So, but what I think is cool about it is the same way what we said earlier, if you prepare your content, get new content, you're actually ready for a new website when you get it. That same thing is kind of true of copywriting. Like if you think maybe I can do this myself and you start it, we actually have a free training we can link to in the show notes about write your own website copy. And it's awesome because I did it. I'm just kidding. But we kind of walk you through everything that you'll need to know. And the good thing about that is a lot of people do find through that process that they actually do need a professional to come in and do exactly what you're saying, write it for web. But because they engaged with the process at the beginning, I mean, they're actually saving some money on that because they already have everything together. They have the strategy, they have the idea, and when they hand that to the copywriter, they can get that a little more affordably.
Yeah,
so.
I think that could make it more meaningful for sure. And then, in the same way, you might think about photo and video. You may have someone internally that has some level of ability. Even if it's just them with their iPhone, they might have some sense of what they want to capture. And even if you go through that process, you create photos, you create videos yourself, and you realize, that's just missing the mark. Like you're talking about with copy, you've already done some legwork, some homework, you kind of know what you like and you don't like.
Right.
So it really makes that conversation with a professional a little bit easier.
Yeah. So if they're starting with photo or video and say they've already done that and they're like, okay, we shot some things, some of this worked, some of it didn't. A lot of times, actually, I find that maybe iPhone photos work well for the blog. It's
Right.
like you have to do that all the time. But on your homepage and your major pages, it's usually better to invest in a professional. What does that look like? Like if they called you and they're like, okay, I just need to get the main photos on my site like refreshed. What would that process look like? What would you tell them?
That's a good question. One of the things that we've done for some people is we have understood that they've got limited resources. As an offering, if you're an Infomedia client, we'll even offer to help have you have a conversation with one of our creatives that could help you think through how to orient your photos. What type of are we talking landscape or portrait? What kind of resolution? Things to consider about lighting. We can at least give you some pointers, and then that helps you know how to go about it. Doesn't mean you'll have a great outcome because if this is not your field, it may not have the effect you're looking for, but you might have some guide rails to help kind of think through how to do it.
And also, even to hire a professional, I think we've really tried to streamline our packages so that we do have packages for people who have the budget and really want it to be great and to get everything that they could want. But we've also worked on packages for people who are like, look, I can have a ton to commit here, but this is what I need. I also think it's cool because we have photography and video in-house, you actually spend less because we know exactly what websites need. And a lot of times people go to an outside photographer and they take wonderful photos, but they don't realize your site is going to morph and change shape depending on the device you're looking at it on, or all these things. And our photographers know that. So they shoot exactly because we know exactly what you need. You're not having to pay for all the rest. So.
Yeah, that's right. And I think when you think about photo, for example, you have to think about what the usage is. So are we talking about just your website? Or are you trying to create something that's going to fit a bunch of different things?
Yeah.
That needs to go on print materials. It needs to do this or that. And so, we think you ought to be able to know what those manifestations are so that you can shoot properly. And so that's where maybe hiring a professional can really help.
Right.
Help you make sure you're getting the kind of images you're looking for the mediums you're talking about.
Great. So really we have kind of 3 ways to refresh your site for the new year. We have copy, photo, and video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And then if you've got resources to go ahead and give your site the fresh look you're looking for, if you've done a good job on these 3 ingredients, it really just makes the process so much easier of moving into a fresh design because you've got things to work with.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you, Clay.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to tell everybody a little bit about One Quick Question, which is developed and hosted by me, Carrie Rollwagon. And people can find show notes, including links to everything we talked about, including the copywriting, how to write your own copy, at infomedia.com/quick question. Our producer is Elena Harmon. Our theme music and sound engineering are by Brad Davis, and our guest experts are our incredible staff here at Infomedia. So you can call us if you want a website or if you want to refresh, anything like this, at 205-823-4440, or check us out at infomedia.com. And I'll leave you with this thought. A real expert helps to clarify, not confuse. So don't take website advice from someone who can't give you a straight answer.